What's up, guys? Today is day 70 of Deadlift Everyday, and today I wanted to talk about the recovery methods I currently use to recover from my daily deadlift sessions. Now, I've talked about the method I use to manage fatigue in a previous video, but as I've gotten quite some questions on this topic lately, I will quickly touch upon that before I go into my recovery methods, because managing fatigue and recovery are indirectly related to each other. So as far as managing fatigue goes, I rotate between different deadlift variations every single day. So on day 1, I might do a conventional deadlift with a belt. On day 2, I do a 5-second pause deadlift without a belt. On day 3, I do a deficit trap bar deadlift with a belt, and so on. What this does is a couple of things. Firstly, even though you're deadlifting every single day, the movement pattern is different. This will help prevent overuse injuries, which you often see when people do the same thing over and over again. Secondly, it will help manage the load. Not every deadlift variation can be loaded as heavy as the other. If we take the examples I just mentioned, you'll find that a conventional deadlift with a belt can be loaded much heavier than a 5-second pause deadlift without a belt, and that the deficit trap bar deadlift can be loaded almost as heavy as the conventional deadlift with a belt, but will put less strain on your posterior chain and more on the quads. Another thing I do is pay a lot of attention to my technique. I want every rep as good as it can be. The more bend you have in your back during the lift, the tougher it will be to recover from it. So that is basically it, as far as fatigue management goes. So let's now go into the recovery methods I use. Now, I like to keep things very simple, and also something that I can do on a consistent basis. So let's start with the basics, the things that are most important for recovery. The first one is sleep, and this one shouldn't really need an explanation. I always try to get at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep each night. If I'm sleeping less than that, I will feel it the next day. So if I am not performing well or just feeling off, the first thing I should get back on track is my sleep. The second one is nutrition. If I am eating shit, I will feel like shit. I try to get in around 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, eat a couple of servings of fruits and vegetables, and drink enough water. And I try to stay away from heavily processed food. The third recovery method I use is getting in as much non-training movement as I can. And what I mean by that are things like going for a walk, playing with my daughter, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, standing at my desk instead of sitting, and so on. What I also like to do from time to time is just sit in the bottom position of a squat and try to open up the hips a bit. And you could see that as dynamic stretching. I just do that randomly during the day. And that is basically it. Sleep, nutrition, movement. It's nothing fancy, but if I make sure I have these 3 things in order, I can recover just fine from my daily deadlifts. And these are also the things that people often overlook. Things like a massage, cupping, sauna, and chiropractic adjustments might make you feel better afterwards, but if you're only sleeping 4 hours a night, have a shitty diet, and sit at a desk all day, none of that will help you recover better. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Alright guys, that is all I wanted to say today. Hope you found this helpful, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.